right, in the New Orleans area, we're expecting the potential for fog pretty much every morning this week because our weather pattern isn't changing a lot until maybe Friday or this weekend. So that means every day for the early commute, we could see some fog. So this is how our fog is forming. Our temperatures are dropping at night and we have all the ingredients there for the fog formation. So we'll just go through it really quickly. We have mostly clear sky, sometimes a few clouds, but mainly clear. Mainly calm winds, but they have been from the south. That's been bringing our humidity and moisture content in our atmosphere up. And then our temperatures, of course, drop through the night, and they're usually their lowest right before sunrise because it's had all night for those temperatures to drop. So temperatures drop enough, and what we have right now is a dew point temperature in the 50s to about 60, and that's also where our overnight lows are. So what happens is the temperature drops, reaches the dew point temperature, and that's the temperature where the air is saturated with water vapor, and the water vapor has to condense. So when it condenses, it forms those little droplets, essentially making a cloud on the ground, and that's what fog is, and we can see it get denser and denser in different spots throughout the morning. Now, just to kind of nerd out a little bit and show you exactly what this looks like, early this morning, these were our temperatures. This is the Kenner Airport. We were hovering right around 60 for a big chunk of the night, and then our temperatures took off during the day into the 70s. Now, I'm going to overlay the dew point temperature in the black line here. And look at this, it's almost exactly the same. The dew point temperature upper 50s to lower 60s through the night. So we always say when we look at these models and things like this, making the forecast, if you see those temperatures and the dew point get really close to each other, that means you're going to have some condensation, some fog potential. Later in the day, the temperature goes up and there's a bigger difference between the air temperature and the dew point. And that's why we typically don't see fog later in the day. So again, dew point, we talk about it sometimes in reference to just humidity in general, but in this case, it's very much playing a factor in why we're seeing the air get saturated at the surface and those water vapor droplets condensing into the droplets and forming a cloud. Now, also an influence has been agricultural burns like sugarcane field burns, and that creates smoke. So this is that super fog potential, which is the smoke plus the fog. And as we know, especially a couple years ago in the fall in October, we had some really bad super fog situations really close to this time of year, or about a month earlier that year. So that's when we have, first of all, particles in the air on which the water vapor condenses. Now, we always have particles in the air, little bits of dust and things like that. But when you add a bunch of smoke particles as well, that just creates a setup where there's a lot more particles, condensation nuclei, that condensation can happen on. So that's why we get denser fog when we have the smoke as well. Looking also at a couple more small scale things, you may have noticed it changes a little bit day to day in the location of the densest fog, in how dense it is in different areas. So there are small ingredients, and that's why we don't just say like fog every morning forever or something. We know the ingredients are there, but they really have to come together, right? And small factors can play a difference or make a difference. For example, this morning, this is Monday morning, we had a little boundary over our area, a little front. All it was just a very subtle change in air masses, but it made a spot in the atmosphere along the surface where moisture could build up. So that gave us more moisture this morning. Also winds, even if there aren't that big a difference in the wind speed or the direction, little bits of difference can really create a different driving scenario for people and lower visibilities. For example, winds can blow air from cooler lakes because the lakes stay cooler and don't heat up and change as efficiently as air. So it can blow cooler air over land, and you know that if you commute, sometimes if you have winds, say, from the north, it can blow that fog or that cooler air over the south shore and create denser fog there maybe than what you started out with. Or smoldering fires. Of course, the location of those fires, especially in our river and bayou parishes, generally around Baton Rouge, or if you're commuting between New Orleans and Baton Rouge, you can run into that really dense fog from that as well. And this is the time of year where we often see that. So what's the big thing to remember this week? Pretty much the potential every morning. And if you tune into the Eyewitness News or watch us on WWL+, we're going to give you the exact details of what exactly is happening that morning, even with those small scale changes. But there will be the potential every morning. Low visibility, of course, is the big concern for commuters. Remember to use your low beam headlights, not your brights. Certainly a safe following distance is key. There's no reason to tailgate ever, but especially not in fog or in rain and thunderstorms or any kind of hazardous weather. And just remember to drive slowly and give yourself extra time this week.